My mind still recoils from memories of boarding school, leaving an unsettling dread. I was only in 8th grade, staying there through high school, assigned to a room with a boy named Weston. Weeks later, Weston handed me a strange list of banned items for our room. It was completely out of the blue, containing bizarre entries like frogs and, most peculiar of all, salt. Weston also had a chilling habit of muttering to himself, often at night after the lights went out. He seemed to speak to someone unseen, leaving me unsettled, yet eventually accustomed to it. He meticulously guarded a small notebook under his mattress, fueling my growing curiosity. One day, with Weston out, I finally gave in and reached for it. Inside, pages held a long list of names, many scratched out. To my horror, I found my own name uncrossed on a later page. The implications were terrifying. For weeks, paranoia consumed me, fearing Weston knew of my transgression. I felt his eyes on me, an unexplainable dread, often seeking refuge in other friends' rooms. One night, I woke in pitch darkness. Weston stood towering over my bed, a faint, unsettling smile on his face, hands slightly raised, frozen mid-motion. I screamed. My scream didn't faze him, he simply kept smiling. Demanding an explanation, he casually claimed I'd been talking in my sleep, offering no further clarity. The next morning, emboldened by daylight, I tried to confront him. He feigned complete confusion, acting as if I'd fabricated the entire terrifying incident. After that, my fear deepened. Not just of Weston, but of the room itself. It felt tainted, uncomfortable, even when he wasn't there, a palpable sense of unease. A week later, I returned to find a live garden snake coiled on my bed. My scream echoed. Weston, at his desk, merely offered a blank apology for his harmless prank. When asked where he found it, Weston simply replied, "What do you mean? They're everywhere." Then he opened a jar, and the snake willingly slithered inside. The breaking point came a few nights later. I was in sleep paralysis, witnessing a dark, pulsing mass swirling on the ceiling, like a cloud made of living shadow. A grotesque, claw-like appendage emerged from the mass, scratching my bed frame. It then reached menacingly towards me, a terrifying grasp almost upon me. Before it could grab me, the claw suddenly recoiled, as if burned. The mass flew into a frenzied rage, smashing through the window and vanishing into the night. The shattering glass snapped my eyes open. I was already staring at the shattered window, shards still falling. The room perfectly matched my nightmare, and I couldn't move. Tearing my gaze from the window, I saw long, real scratches scored into my bed frame, precisely where the claw had scraped in my horrifying dream. As paralysis lifted, my first thought was Weston. I shook his sleeping form, desperate for him to wake, but he remained deeply, terrifyingly asleep. Was it not him? The agonizing thought that my nightmare wasn't a dream made me tremble. I craved someone to blame, to share the terror. But Weston wouldn't wake. I curled into a ball and wept. Minutes later, Weston awoke, genuinely shocked by the chaos. But instead of shared fear, he accused me of trashing his belongings, sparking a furious screaming match. He began hissing like a cat, then erupted into a stream of incomprehensible, foreign words. I felt a primal fear, convinced he was about to attack me. Things blurred. The RA arrived, drawn by the noise, and escorted us both out. That night, I slept alone in a cold, vacant room. Waking freezing, I realized why. The window in my new, vacant room was wide open, despite my memory of closing it. My rational explanations shattered. An RA sent me for my things. Weston's belongings were already gone. The administration simply moved me, telling me he was no longer my concern. I never saw him again. My memory of that time is fractured, a coping mechanism, perhaps. I never understood Weston, but the terrifying truth remains. My nightmare was disturbingly real. Every summer, my parents sent me to my grandparents' Pennsylvania farm for 2 weeks. It was mostly dense woods, and my cousin Francisco visited during different weeks. I always got the first 2 weeks of July. My room was on the 3rd floor, a finished attic with slanted ceilings and one window overlooking the backyard and woods. My grandparents went to bed early, so after their good-night wishes, I'd retreat to my room, staying awake to read by flashlight or play my Game Boy. The first summer passed uneventfully, but the second, while reading, I heard soft footsteps on the attic stairs. The doorknob turned, and the door opened 6 inches. I quickly shut off my light, pretending sleep, convinced it was Grandma. But no further sound followed, no footsteps receded, no door closed. I forced myself to sleep. Morning, I told Grandpa about the footsteps. He blamed an old house's noises, or raccoons. But I'd seen the doorknob turn. His explanation felt strange. 3 nights later, I woke, or thought I did, to my bed shaking. A dark outline of a person stood at the foot of my bed, scaring me despite the darkness. I closed my eyes, counting to 100. When I opened them, the figure was gone. I convinced myself it was a nightmare, though it hadn't felt like one. Waking next morning, my closet door stood open. I knew it had been closed. This made me doubt my dream theory, suspecting Grandma might be spying. Similar incidents recurred weekly. Despite the growing fear, I kept it secret, worried about upsetting or disrespecting my loving, yet seemingly strange, grandparents.